I'm going to show you how to make some of the tools and jigs that I've used as I was building the frames. This is a carrying rack, and this makes it easier to carry a bunch of frames. I've got some handles on here. It can hold 23 frames maximum. This is just kind of an old laptop charger that I cut the ends off, and I used this to put the B-base in. These are my two jigs I made for drilling the holes in the frames, and this allowed me to let the kids help me. It also is really helpful because you don't have to think too much about it. Just line it up with the sides and it works. This is the assembly jig, and if you're going to do more than 10 frames, I would make an assembly jig. And this is the wiring jig, and this thing has been amazing as far as wiring goes. So I'll show you how to make each one of these. I'll break it up in chapters, so if you don't care about one, you can just skip to the next and show you how I made them. I have everything planned out of what I want to build, but in order to maximize the use of plywood, I made what I call a nesting plan. That's a terminology used in the steel industry, steel fab shops, when you're cutting a piece of plate. So I have on here all my pieces laid out on the plywood like I want to use them. So I'm going to cut this piece first, then this one, jump over, I'll make this cut, then I'll make some of these. The idea being you can maximize the use of your plywood with minimal waste. Same thing that we do with steel plate at the shop. It's time to put the frame racks together, and I find that I often need like 4 or 5 hands and arms. So I've set up a backstop. I'm going to have this here, and these are only 1-inch long staples. This is 3/4 of an inch, so I'm looking only just to really hold it until I can drill a hole, because of this screw going into the end wood, I need to pre-drill the hole so I don't split it. So this is all ready. I've rounded over this side, I've rounded over the top here, and on the front, I've rounded over all of it in here, so I have a nice smooth handhold. Caleb helped me drill these holes, and I've drilled in 1.5-inch hole here and connected the dots. So we should be ready to go. Grab my glue. If you have the option to glue it, why not? I will just line this up. And I'm not worried about it square yet. I'll make it square whenever I drill the hole. This will just kind of hold it up for me so it doesn't fall down. Okay, make sure this front face is lined. Okay. Now's when I want to break up my square. Okay. Okay, and And that's one frame rack all done. Took probably about, 4 to 5 minutes to put all together. To install the B-base in the frames, you're going to want to use something to heat up the wires a little bit. So I'm using an old laptop charger, and mine is 130 watts. That's about the highest you want to go. The lowest would be 160. And what I did was I stripped off the wires. This one had a little blue wire in it too, which I've never seen a blue ground wire. But I have this stripped off, and I stripped off a little bit of the insulation around here so I can get the wire touching. And now, just for me, I want to solder it. That way this won't come unwound, and hopefully it'll protect the fine little wires in there a little bit. So let's just get a little bit of solder on there, and that should okay, and I would say that should do it. Anytime I need to make a lot of something, I like to make a jig. Since I'm going to be drilling out, a little bit more than 90 of these things, I drew up a little jig that I can put in my drill press so I can drill out all these holes. So I've drilled the first 2 holes, and I'm using this as kind of my drill pivot point. And line that hole in there. And with this, I can install these, and it should make a nice little jig that'll be easier when it comes to drilling out these things. So hold that down. And I'll make one of these for the bottom drilling jig too, just to make it easier to drill out the 90 plus holes on the bottom one. Okay, well, let's snug while I start the drill bit. Now all I have to do is just align the center of my drill into the drill press right there, and I can slide it in, punch the hole, slide it in, punch the hole, and it should make it a lot faster. Okay, well, Caleb and I are going to make the assembly jig. This is where we're going to assemble the frames. So, got all the pieces cut and stuff started. Let's put a little bit of glue here. Okay, you want to give this a squeeze right here. Squeeze it as hard as you can. Got my big buddy here with me. It's a little windy, so if the camera moves, that might happen. But we are going to put together the wiring jig. I have my plan here, all the pieces cut. Are you ready to put together, bud?
Yeah!
Yeah? Okay. You want to start with this little piece?
Yeah.
We get to use the staple gun.
Yay!
Okay, well, let's put a little bit of glue on the back.
Yeah.
I'm going to glue some of this stuff together. Okay. And if we look at our plan here, bud, it comes right there to a corner. So, put it right there. And pull trigger.
Yeah.
Okay. And where'd our little piece go? This is a little screw eye that we're going to need. Let's go ahead and get that started. Okay. We're also going to need to put this in. You want to help with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is going to hold our frame where it needs to be. Okay, so we're just going to line it up right here on these lines on this corner. I'm going to hold that down tight. Pull the trigger. Okay. Want to hammer those ones in? Good job. Good job. Okay, bud. Oh. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
Scare you? And last one. And this will be our bolt that the wire goes on, and I always like to double nut stuff to keep that from ever backing out. And that wiring jig is done, bud. Thank you for your help, big man.
You're welcome.
Well, that's all the different tools that I've used in jigs. If you think one looks helpful and useful, I'd probably make it, because as you make something again and again, you can really slow yourself down if you're trying to lay it out and fiddle with it time and time again. Jigs seem to make everything go faster and easier. There's an initial upfront time of making it, but you more than make up for that on the back end of just speed of productivity.